That makes me wait, huh?
How do you like that?
I do like
That was a fair answer.
Whatever your lending
Suspense
needs
is
are,
good.
stop in
I
and see
know.
me at 395
Anticipation.
East,
Hey,
St. George
Jesse,
Boulevard.
will you grab that? I always ask you to grab that door.
Achieve financial success.
You'd think I'd remember.
Well, you remember a lot of things.
Not that.
Letter carriers dealing bags. This
I always
Saturday,
forget to
they're
talk
also
into the
fighting
microphone.
hunger in
He just
southern
told me
Utah.
to do.
On May 11th,
talk into the
Joe
microphone.
Utah Food
Like
Bank
this.
and the National
Yes.
Association
Not
of
like
Letter
this or
Carriers and the
this.
annual
Like
Step
this.
Out Hunger
Yeah,
Food
I got
Drive.
it.
Simply fill a bag or box with
He's got pretty
non-perishable
good at
food
it.
donations and
Got a few
Every
right
once in a
there.
while you
I was-
forget.
by 9
Yeah,
a.m. on
yeah,
Saturday,
sometimes
May
you get a
11th.
little, like,
Every bag makes a
excited,
difference
right?
to the
Yep.
1 in 5 southern
So, Jesse,
Utah
how I have it
kids
pulled up?
who face
I have two searches pulled up. I have what you gave me, but I have actives and solds in two separate flex windows.
Is up to you. Try the new Outlander crossover with 3 row seating starting at only $20,750, or the new Eclipse Cross starting at only
What's interesting is
$20,990.
that
Painters
painting
Mitsubishi,
are a higher
all with a
price,
10-year,
lot higher price
100,000
per
mile
square foot
warranty
than
with a haggle and hassle-free purchase experience. There's only one. Painters Mitsubishi, 1600 South Hilton Drive next to Camping World. All rebate to dealer plus tax,
square
license,
foot.
and fees. S number M0717 and M0663.
Yeah,
News stories on demand, the latest weather forecast.
we have to
It
be
means
sure.
that one property.
Yeah, we have to be sure that that's what we're talking about.
I'll just answer it. It's live.
I'm making sure. Well.
Good morning, 8:36 on News Radio
Cool, it's working.
94.9, 890 KDXU. It's Thursday, that means it's time for the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive with Jeremy Larkin. Jeremy, how are you, man?
Good morning, everybody. Everybody.
Everybody. You've piqued my interest, by the way. He gave me a little teaser before we went on the air here about the most expensive and least expensive homes in Washington County, and I really wanted, he wouldn't tell me.
I know you Andy asked, well, what is the most expensive home, and what did I say?
You'll find out.
You shall find out. Listen, it is, we've talked about this, it is no different than your newscast. Hey, tonight at 10, we're gonna find out exactly. Tonight at 10, find out what's lurking in the shadows for your teens. And you're like, oh my, what do I need to know about my teens? And it'll be at 10:27 p.m., 27 minutes in the
Sit through the
30-minute
whole thing.
newscast.
Are you gonna make us wait 27 minutes?
Heavens, no.
Okay,
I wouldn't
might.
do that.
good.
It's not
You might.
who-
26.
It's not who I am. Good morning, Joe. Joe's watching.
Hey, Joe.
Joe's in. We got some people, guys, out there. By the way, guys and gals, everybody, as they say, make sure you comment and say good morning. Give us a thumbs up. Float a heart. That's like one of the famous kind of webinar things people do, because we're in a business where we watch a lot of webinars.
Yeah.
Hey, float some hearts over there. Anywho's, gang, Jeremy Larkin here, host of the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. It is Thursday. I've got Jesse Paul here in studio. Jesse decided to show up in a t-shirt and a baseball cap. It's like he doesn't even care.
Well,
Tell us about your t-shirt.
What
Because
it
it
is-
says Red Day. I think
It
people
is.
are gonna wanna know.
it is now, all over the country, Keller Williams offices will be shut down today and out doing a community project somewhere.
Theoretically shut down.
Yes, we'll still be doing business, but the office will be
Yes,
shut
yes,
down.
yes, yes, yes,
We'll
yes,
be
yes.
out there cleaning the park on our phones, doing transactions,
Exactly.
but we will be serving the community.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
yes.
you've got a red shirt on under your sweater.
It's
I'm
like-
guessing it's the same
like-
one.
It's not the same one,
Oh,
it's
it's
similar.
similar. Okay.
It's similar. So this is, today is Red Day,
Yeah,
which
today's Red Day.
is Keller Williams Red Day. Keller Williams is, so you know, a lot of our listeners, most of our listeners know that I'm Jeremy Larkin, CEO of the Larkin Group. Jesse and I are with the Larkin Group, we're a home selling team. So in the real estate world, we have to have our real estate license shingled, right, up, hung under a brokerage umbrella. And we could have our own brokerage, and we just felt like it wasn't worth the hassle and the liability when we belong to just the greatest company on the planet, which is Keller Williams Realty.
Definitely.
Red is, there's two kind of elements here. Number one, the Keller's branding has always been red. But in addition to that, red stands for, do you remember?
Let's see, renew,
Can you read your shirt?
energize, and donate.
Mm-hmm. Renew, energize, and donate. What is Red Day? It stands for Renew, Energize, and Donate. It's our annual day of service. Every second Thursday of May, we celebrate Red Day as part of our Legacy Worth Leaving, which is part of the core values of the company, Keller Williams. And we believe that Larkin Group. So today we'll be down at Little Valley
Little Valley Park.
Park, I guess, Little Valley Park, ball fields and that kind of thing. Planting trees. And boy, is it strange, the weather? Like, this is, it does not feel like May. I mean, 61 right now, maybe something like that. It's really cool. It's supposed to be cool all day long, 70s for the weekend. Hey, make sure you stay in touch here in the next 5 minutes for the 10-day forecast. Oh, wait. See, at some point I think we're a Ironman promoter, St. George Arts Festival promoter. What are we? Are we running a real estate program here? I think we're running a real estate program. And today we're going to talk about the most least expensive homes. So if you see us, by the way, wrapping that up out at Little Valley Park, all these people in red shirts, that is Keller Williams Realty out here doing our day of service. And it's our little, it's a fingernail portion of something, right? Everybody needs to do their part. If we're not all doing something, it really doesn't happen, and so, there you go. Because you know what I love, Jesse, is how these companies love to say, look at, we're doing Red Day, we're the greatest. You really should know that there's no one better than us. There's lots of people doing service in the St. George. There's probably 50 service projects going on right now by massive organizations.
Definitely.
But we're doing our part, right? So there you go. If you want to check it out and see what that's about, you can Google Keller Williams Red Day or KW Red Day. So we have some fun. People love to talk about the most and least expensive homes. And there's been some interesting news, and I do want to talk about this as we get the show going. If you don't want to watch us on Facebook Live, if you feel like you can't swing over or stay on Facebook Live, because maybe your boss will find out, you can make it seem really normal by just turning on the radio in the office. So people forget, our Facebook listeners forget that we're a radio show. Good morning, Facebook viewers and listeners, YouTube viewers and listeners. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Jeff. I've got double Jeffs. I've got Jeffs all over the place. This is crazy right now. But you can listen 94.9 FM, 890 AM, which is, of course, where we originally streamed from, broadcast from here at the Cherry Creek Studios. You can Google 890 KDXU live stream, and you can pick it up there, and you can just stream it. I don't know, there's a lot of cool apps you can get on your phone, that kind of thing.
We have our own app.
Wait a minute, you do?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
How do I know that?
890K. You didn't know that.
I don't know, man.
I didn't either.
Wow.
All those days that I was trying to stream it from my computer.
Yeah, you could have had the app, but the only problem with the app, it's about 30 seconds behind live.
That's okay.
And so when we do these contests, people call in and I've already given away the prize.
Oh.
Because they're listening to the app.
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, listen, they feel like they're getting gypped. So
So you could announce, if you're on the app and, just call me 30 seconds before you need to.
Yeah, read my mind.
yes, read his mind. So there's an article that came out this week. It said there's this Riverwalk, this brand new Riverwalk project coming online down on Riverside Drive, St. George, talking about this new affordable housing. And you can only understand that anytime anything goes on Facebook, mainly there's negativity.
Sure.
Because Facebook has become, and social media, but mainly Facebook has become like this outlet for everyone to share all their anger and resentment with the planet, right? Which is unfortunate.
And each other.
Yeah, it's really
It's
frustrating. I hate it. So years ago, the Spectrum newspaper had something called The Vent, and they got rid of The Vent.
I remember that.
Yeah, do you remember that?
It was vile.
It was vile. And it was vile. It was like Facebook. So it was like, Andy, when you release an article on affordable housing and everyone hops in and says, can you believe the greed? Can you believe the greed of business owners who would want to, like, I don't know, build a house and make a profit? Can you believe these guys? Jesse, can you believe these guys? This guy opens a pizza joint here in town. And guess what? He wanted to make money.
Right?
Can you believe the greed? Can you guys believe that Cherry Creek Studios here sells stuff? Radio? Can you, honestly, I'm offended. Okay, I'm working for, have I made my point?
You have.
So, and this is the classic line we get, affordable housing, LOL. It's always an LOL. LOL, yeah, is it just greed or have values really gone up that much? Gang, let me see if I can give you an economics lesson. It's gonna last about 60 seconds. Here goes. prices of everything on the planet are driven by you.
It's true.
You.
That was 10 seconds.
Well, there's about 45 seconds
there's
left.
left, okay.
That means you and me and the three of us in the studio and everyone listening to this show, we drive the economy. Greedy builders, air quotes, and greedy real estate agents and greedy homeowners don't drive the market. The market is driven by
But
consumer.
wait a minute, isn't it also greed to try to keep them down
Of course it is.
by buyers?
Because of course that's,
So
this is
it's all about greed.
hypocrisy of the whole entire idea.
Or not, it's just about life.
Yeah, so we're really just dealing with an economy. And what's happening in the economy is people start to move here, and then what happens is the builders go, oh man, I was selling this home for $250, but now the cost of my lumber went up, and the cost of my concrete went up because it's getting busy. Oh, and the cost of my labor went up because I'm having a hard time getting guys, so they raise the price a little bit. And then people say, I think I'll pay a little more. And then the builder says, well, cool, if they'll pay a little more. I mean, gosh, if I was getting $260, maybe I get $265. But then the cost of their labor and the cost of the materials goes up. And so we have this cycle that happens. And as long as, so I guess if we want to just boycott development, then we can absolutely, so government, by the way, Thomas Sowell, you know who I'm talking about, this famous writer, he's been in the paper. He had a piece that was really phenomenal years ago about how government intervention in housing prices does nothing. It does not, so it actually creates almost a reverse outcome. So, folks, listeners, buyers, sellers, homeowners, future homeowners, landlords, renters, I've covered every person that listened to this show. You are responsible. Isn't that just liberating to know that it was your fault and my fault and Andy's fault and Jesse's fault? It's everybody's fault that houses are expensive here because we are part of an economy. And here's what's not happening, and I'm gonna answer the question for all the people that complain about these. I'm gonna answer the question. Is it just greed? Nope. Sorry. Builders don't find out that they can sell their home for $300 when they were selling it for $240 and raise it to $300. There's never been, that's not, it's just so incremental. Well, what about in 2005 when I bought a house and like 6 months later it was 50 grand more?
It's still the economy.
Still the buyer's fault. Come on, right? So, now that I've been on my soapbox.
But wait a minute, let's stop there. Who in their right
Oh, should we
mind?
just be done?
No, wait.
Thank you, okay.
Who in their right mind, if you were selling a home, if it was actually worth 300 and you had, for some reason, got it wrong, who wouldn't change that?
So
If they could.
let's flip it on its end. You're all the buyers that can't afford a homes. So, by the way, what we have is and there was some great commentary on this article about this report project. There actually are 1 in like 50 comments is actually valuable. We have a wage problem, right? We have a wage problem. And understand that wages, that's a whole entirely different can of worms, right? We have a wage problem. And remember, this is where all this crazy profit that people want to make in their business comes in. We have a wage problem because people want and need to make money. That's what business is about, right? We don't live in a utopian society where we all get together at night and like everybody down the street cooks a massive meal and then we all eat from a bowl together, right? We live in an economic, a democratic economic system. And what that means is people go out and they do what they want. And if they want to start a business like a lemonade stand. Andy, have you ever owned a business?
Sure.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Well, I first of all, I had a vending business about 15 or 20 years ago, vending machines and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I've had an LLC for myself I've been a freelancer for quite some time. And that was a business as well.
So nobody stopped you from doing that, right? That was part of being an American. You get to do that.
I loved it, yeah.
Yeah, so I go get a business license in the city of St. George right now for pretty cheap. And I could start washing windows. I could get licensed and bonded and I could be a window washer. And that's part of the beauty of this country. Now, we're gonna get to the highest, we really are making them wait.
You're teasing.
We are teasing. But I think this is so important. And I hope that our listeners are really taking this in. When you live in this kind of an economic free market system, hey, the good with the bad. The good is, guess what? In the United States of America, you're not held down like in some of these terrible third world or Middle Eastern areas where like really the people are oppressed. They can't own a business. They can't do really what they want. the flip side of that is that, you know, things get expensive. And right now, housing's really, feeling pretty expensive in St. George compared to wages. I mean, we do our little part. I guarantee you, we pay more at our office than the average employer in town. I know for a fact, because every time I talk to employers, they're like, you pay that much? Yeah. But, you know, that's our part. We're one company. So Jesse, people are, the inquiring minds want it. It's May 9th. Okay. What is the most expensive, now that we've soapboxed that, and gang, seriously, like, I'm happy to have a discussion with you. Contact us at soldinstgeorge.com, soldinstgeorge.com, or you could call us at 275-1690. We're happy to pick this discussion up, all right? So, most expensive home sale this year.
Home sale?
Mhm. What, does anyone have any idea? Could anyone, I don't know, maybe one of our Facebook viewers has an idea. I don't know. And we'd see a comment come over here if they had that.
So the most expensive home sale was
recorded publicly.
4.5 million.
Whew. How'd you get a mortgage on that, man? Did it require a big
That's your
down payment
place?
for you?
How many pools do you have, Jesse?
4.5 million. Where was it at, man?
Washington.
We'd say more than that. I know exactly where it was.
2860 South 20 East, Washington Townside.
Yeah, so people are like, what is that?
It's right downtown.
Kind
Kind
of.
of.
Not
No,
really,
no, it's
not really. I
It's
gotta
right out
correct
there
him.
by-
I gotta correct him. It's clear on the field. It's
Yeah,
out by
it's right
Adam
there.
Lane. So this is this big Tuscan estate. Brent Miner sold it. Congratulations, Brent. I know which property he's speaking of. I'm not looking at it, but I'm very familiar with it. 4.5, would you believe it's $4.5 million? Now, I'm gonna give people perspective today. So Jesse, that's the real number, 4.5 million? Was it 4.5 is what it closed for?
Yeah, 4.5.
Give us some more data. Like what? Was this like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage with a quarter-acre lot?
13,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, 5-car garage on 7 acres.
There you go. So what this place is,
So it's
It's a resort.
It's an estate, yeah.
yeah, it's like a resort. It's got its own pond, lake, whatever you wanna call it out there. I mean, I haven't seen jet skis on it, but
Okay,
maybe
but
it's not that big.
now that's, because that's actually obviously an outlier. Let's talk about the next most expensive, is 2.8 million off of Long Sky Drive in St. George. That's in the ledges of St. George.
Yeah, 2.8 million bucks. Here's what's interesting about this. I spent some time on Coronado Island outside of San Diego a month ago. And we went to a friend's home, and it was a 2-story, 2,400 square foot home, so 12 on the main, 12 up. Kind of that like wood paneling, almost like a horizontal wood paneling, really basic, traditional home built in like the 1980s, right? I looked at the Zillow's estimate. We've been beaten up on the Zillow's estimate, but when you're in that kind of place, all you can do is just look at kind of a trend in the area. $3.5 million bucks. The home was average, guys.
Wow.
It was not much.
Wow.
3.5, so, okay, somebody said in this thread about this affordable housing, LOL, can you believe there's no affordable housing here? Somebody said, why don't you try living in Orange County? So we have to keep perspective.
Right, because even though our wages are low, they're not astronomically low compared to California,
Yeah,
compared to the real estate prices.
so Jesse, so that person in Coronado Island, they sell that house for $3.5 million and they moved to St. George, Utah.
Right.
They're a $3 million purchase here, aren't they?
Possibly, or they could pocket half of that and buy a really nice house for 1.5.
And when they buy that home here, whoever finds out they buy it is convinced that these people are independently wealthy, right?
Right.
But they may not have been independently wealthy, they
Right.
simply did what?
They bought right.
Bought right, they bought a house a long time
They
ago
bought
in a
it
place
right.
that went skyrocketed.
They bought it at the right time.
They might have had like a regular job, sold this home, and just become absolutely, really cash rich for a short period of time.
My in-laws, I think, have that, like, they've lived in the same home for 25 years, I believe. I think they bought it for $250.
Sure.
It'll probably be over 1.3 million,
Imagine that.
1.5.
And they'll have paid their mortgage
If and
down
when
to
they
zero.
sell it.
So, $4.5 million, all right, so, most expensive home sale so far this year, $4.5 million. And when he says Washington Townside, where it gets confusing is, Washington Townside is anywhere in Washington that doesn't have a subdivision
Right.
attached to it.
Right.
So it's clear out there in Washington Fields by what we call Adam Lane. Adam Lane is this one cul-de-sac of homes where everything is like 52,000 square feet on an acre, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, So, that's a little overwhelming. What is, give it to us, what's the least expensive home sale this year? And by the way, well, we can qualify it.
This throws people off. because
12 million, Joe, you were high. I would like to know where the 12
This
was,
throws
you guessed.
people off, because if you don't put in single-family home, you're getting trailers that you could buy for 10,000.
So is there something that sold for 17,000?
Yes.
I see it. So that's not only an anomaly, we can't look at it.
Right.
So what would be the most expensive, condo, townhome, or single-family home? The least expensive that's sold. And I can tell you right now what I've got.
You got it pulled up?
Yeah, I absolutely do. So, so far this year, let me tell you, so you could go out there and buy, yeah, I mean, you buy a Bryan Head condo, right? You could go and buy a condo at Bryan Head for $35,000-$40,000. You could buy a fractional ownership. You could buy a mobile home on a rented lot, which is what
Right.
Jesse's talking about.
The least expensive property in the MLS was actually a fractional ownership in Las
What is-
Palmas.
what is-
$20,000 for a condo.
So we can't use it as an example. What does fractional ownership mean?
That means that you're probably a fifth or sixth owner. There's a team of owners, and
Sure.
you get it for what, 1 or 2 weeks a year, depending on how many owners.
Uh-huh.
And but the least
So we know,
expensive
so that, you see
single-family
how
home-
that throws Andy off? If people go, well, I saw something sold for $17,000. Well, really it didn't.
So the least expensive condo, let's just talk about Greater St. George.
I know
is
exactly which one it is.
80,000.
I know exactly which one it was. Why do you think I know which one it is? Because we sold it.
That's right. We don't just deal in $1 million properties, folks.
Thank you, Heidi Flannery, amazing, client out of Washington State. So, $80,000, Spring Tree Gardens.
Mhm.
1 bed, no bath, no kitchen, just kidding. I just wanna see if people are paying attention. You know, a hole in the wall from the demolition. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 588 square foot condo in a place called Spring Tree Garden. 80 grand. So, I mean,
588 square feet.
that's it, man.
Wow.
Yeah, look, there's just, right? There's
Okay,
not much. So what, let's talk about a single family home. What people wanna know, what is the least expensive sale right now for a single family home this year? Okay? This is gonna be fun here for people to know about. True single family home. Now, what will happen is when you go into the multiple listing service, it will like mislead you.
So I'm gonna take out the 55 plus communities,
Oh,
okay?
well,
Because
it's
that-
okay. I already have the
So-
answer for you. Do you wanna give it to
Yeah,
me?
give it to me.
All right, I just gonna see if he had it, if he was beating me to it.
I had it, but.
1114 North Jefferson Street, okay? So 1114 North Jefferson Street, people are like, what is that? It's a place called Painted Hills Estates, what is that? Well, it's kind of fun because at the end of the day, there's like 500,000 subdivisions in St. George and nobody knows what they are, okay? We got 2 minutes. 1,500, this is really interesting, 1,512 square feet for $155,000. Jesse, that's the cheapest sale that I showed anywhere in Washington.
Okay, so you're actually wrong.
Okay, what do you think is the cheapest one? Because when I pulled my search, that was the cheapest single family.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
This is tricky, because
You know
out in
what?
Hurricane, you got Quail Lake Estates, which is.
No,
it's a single
can't count
family
it.
home.
Can't count it.
It's a single family
Those
home.
Still
are
can't
tiny.
count it.
Those are tiny.
Still can't count it. I still don't count it.
But if you take
Here's
out
why,
those.
here's why. It's basically, it's a lot of trailers in there.
There is, but this one is a single family home.
It's okay. What was it?
It was 770 square feet for 129,000.
Okay, there you go.
It's a regular community.
Check this out. So there was a sale on 100 South that Bob Richards, good man over at Keller Williams, had that was 144,000 that I didn't include. It's interesting because it was listed actually as commercial and residential, but it shows
Right.
up in the residential search. So this was a single family home that was 996 feet, a block from our office. When it says it needs a lot of TLC, let me see if I can describe this for you. It includes a bulldozer
Right.
running it over in the final minute. So right now, gang, let's wrap this show up with this. Housing is feeling pretty expensive in Washington County based on what's available, okay? Based on income. $4.5 million was our highest sale. We had a single family home arguably at 130, call it 150,000 for a true single family home in like downtown St. George or Hurricane. $150,000 is as cheap as you're gonna get, if you're lucky. And it is gonna need a whole bunch of work.
You're gonna have to be quick too, because it's gonna sell like that.
Greed is not driving our market, okay? If it is, then it's because we're all greedy.
It's pent up demand is what's, let's talk
Yeah.
about that next week.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right.
Because it's
Pent up
still there.
demand is driving our market. If you're thinking about buying a home, if you're thinking about selling a home, we want you to visit us at soldinstgeorge.com. Man, we'd have fun with this discussion for hours.
Next week.
Soldinstgeorge.com. Oh, we're gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna find out, when we talk about pent-up demand and what that means